Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, look, I've got clowns to the right of me, jokers to the left of me, and I'm stuck in the middle with you. Terrifier. Folks, have you seen Terrifier? And then, have you seen Terrifier 2? Jaw on the floor. And if Art the Clown, who's the star and complete antagonist of the Terrifier movies, got hold of me, my jaw would be on the floor and his hand would be up inside my skull, pulling my brain out through my nostrils. My God, folks, you guys are into horror movies, you wouldn't be watching my channel if you weren't. And I have seen the grimmest, nastiest things ever. I've seen all the Herschel Gordon Lewis movies from the 60s, you know, Thousand Maniacs and Blood Feast and all that kind of crap. And obviously all the video nasties that came out in the 80s and whatever. And the new wave of horror movies, more extreme stuff. Things like a Serbian film, which is a brilliantly made movie, very distressing, very disturbing. And the French movies like Martyrs and Inside, which really do push boundaries and yet do tell good stories. But gore, for many of us, gore's great. You want splashy prosthetic effects. You want nastiness. You want a villain that you're like, oh no. But there's a big difference. I don't like torture porn. Your Hostels, your original Saw was alright, but the rest of them I just, well, a slurry pit of dross. And anything Eli Roth makes is just complete turd anyway. I can't stand him or what he comes up with. Or I did like him in Inglourious Basterds, though, when he comes down the tunnel with the baseball bat. I did like him there. But anything else, no. I'm out. But gory movies, well, yeah. Tom Savini effects for the likes of Maniac from 1981, I think it was, for Bill Lustig. And you had Joe Spinell and Caroline Munro. Caroline Munro, an English scream queen goddess. What the hell was she doing in that? And then she starred with Joe Spinell again in the last horror film, or Fanatic as it's called in some quarters. Gory as hell. But Maniac was one of those cause celeb at the time. It had women vetoing cinemas and blockading theatres. You know, it was misogynistic. He was scalping women. He was, butchering people. Tom Savini's effects were nightmarishly good. And Savini himself said, I felt a bit wrong doing this. I felt dirty and cruddy afterwards. And it's also the film where he blows his own skull apart. This is Tom Savini blows his own skull apart. Because he plays the maniac who leaps on the bonnet of the car. And he's also playing the guy that's on the other side of the windscreen who's been making out with this girl. And there's Savini on the inside acting, and then dressed as the maniac, Savini leaps on the bonnet of the car and with a double-barreled shotgun blows his own head apart. And what's startling about that is, because you see it through the windscreen and you just see like explosion of glass, and then sort of strawberry jam goes everywhere, but you see the aftermath of it where there's nothing left of his head. It's all giblets and brain tissue and gobbets of goo and gore and grue all over the back seat and all over the headrest. Oh my God, that was nasty enough, but it's actually quite a good film as well. Yeah, I've said it, and I love all the Lucio Fulci movies. Non-stop splatter and gore and zombies and great stuff. Maggots and intestines. So yeah, I'm a seasoned pro when it comes to gore. Now we comes to Terrifier. Oh yes. By a guy, a writer, director, producer, and does his own special effects as well. Damien Leone. It could be pronounced Leone, but I'm going with the Sergio Leone sort of go. So I'm going to go with Damien Leone. He came out with a couple of short movies a good while ago now, where he had this horrific demonic clown who was a mime clown with a little perched hat on his head, a bit like what I've done there. If you see, I've erected my own version of Art the Clown. This little, that's Jack Nicholson from The Shining, of course, but I've given him a little hat there. Now, so a couple of short movies, and then in, I think, the anthology movie All Hallows Eve, Art the Clown features in that as well. But that was a different guy playing him. But this is he's a mime, he's a mimic. You know, he does all that kind of shit. And he exaggerates every sort of expression and mannerism. No words, but he'll play violins and he'll do sad face and tears and all this sort of stuff. It's all exaggerated. And they kind of made it a bit of a name for themselves. This caricature of this violent, demonic clown. So then he gets his own film because Damien Leone thinks, yeah, he's good enough. Let's give him his own show. So in 2016, you get Terrifier. Now, I knew about that film at the time, but I was busy. I was seeing lots of other stuff and I was doing other things as well. So I never got around to watching it. It was heavily touted at the time, and I've always been aware of it as being a notorious gore movie. But in the run-up to Terrifier 2 coming out, which came out, it premiered, I think, back in August at the Fright Fest in London, and it's been around the world. And now it's on, you know, everyone can get it now. You can stream it, you can buy it on Blu-ray, and together with the original movie as well. So only literally a few days ago did I actually catch up with Terrifier, the first one, because I wanted to watch Terrifier 2, because I heard some really, really exciting things about it. Yeah, the hyperbole that goes into overdrive. Things like The Exorcist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Clockwork Orange, and The Thing itself. A lot of these outrageous violence, in some cases gory, in some cases not, but they imply so much. People are fainting in the aisles. Oh, there's The Exorcist again. There's ambulances there. People are throwing up. Oh, they're having heart attacks. Most of that is complete and utter bullshit. But Terrifier 2, apparently, really did inspire an ambulance outside a theatre in America. Americans are so whimsical. And they pass out at the drop of a hat. A little tiny, little black hat like that. On a jaunty angle. But yeah, even when the likes of The Guardian, the respected British paper, The Guardian, gives a really audacious, outlandish, total gore classic quite a good review and recommends it for those of a certain persuasion and not for the squeamish, and actually does, sings its praises, but also endorses, yes, people have fainted, and yes, there have been ambulances outside, because it is that kind of movie. So you've got to know what you let yourself in for. Who's Art the Clown then, Kilt-Man? Who's Art the Clown? I don't fucking know. Art the Clown is what Damien Leone created, and then gets his first movie with Terrifier. And he is just this black and white, black-toothed, black-eyed, infernal bastard that just stalks and slashes, but takes his time doing the slashing. This is where these films really go beyond the likes of even your torture porn, which came up with the 2000s and onwards, and all the early stuff. Normally in a gory movie, the kill is just knife goes in, blood, actor or actress just goes, dies. Torture porn comes in where the mutilation and the murder takes a long time. But even in most of these nasties, and there's many others, the ones I mentioned there, you guys, there's many more which are underground, under the bloody carpets where all the carcasses are, even those, because the effects in them are so crap most of the time, and the acting's so shoddy, you don't feel it. Well, they're just boring. That's not the case with these movies. What's happening here with the Terrifier films is you're seeing people being butchered, usually women, but blokes are getting done in as well. And Art the Clown is taking his time with them and he's having fun doing it. And what the difference is you're seeing the victims really suffering and in pain and agony. And he just enjoys it. He starts doing all the sad face and playing the violin. Oh no, you're in pain. Oh no. All this little waves to them. And then he goes manic again with stabby, butchery, eyeball pulling, brains splattering, pulling faces off people, pulling the hearts out, but taking his sweet time doing it. Right. Now, plot-wise, neither film has one, really. The first one, he's just there, and he will start picking off a bunch of teens. Lovely ladies, most of them. One of whom, now spoilers ahead folks, but this is an overview of these two movies. I like them enough to go in depth, perhaps. I don't know yet. I might do, I might not. But I thought I'm going to have to talk about this because everybody I know is talking about these movies. So, and I'm getting people messaging me, have you seen Terrifier 2 yet? Yes, I've seen it twice, yes. And do I love it? I like it. Do I love it? You kind of feel a bit wrong saying you love a film like this. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Art the Clown just butchers people. You've got more of a plot in the second one, but we'll come on to that. In the first one, it's mainly shot, very low budget, but looks great. Both films look great. Cinematography, sound design, the effects. And again, it's Damien Leone doing his own practical effects. My God, they're outstanding. Don't go on forums where people who don't like these films are going like, oh, and the effects, they're shoddy. They're not. The effects are really, really good. They're top grade effects and they're genuine prosthetics. It's there in camera. Oh, it's just what you saw in the 80s. These are throwback movies to the 80s. Everything seems to be a throwback to the 80s, doesn't it? You know, the decade that in the early 90s, everyone wanted to forget the 80s. It was just, anything went. It was avant-garde. It was ridiculous. There were shoulder pads and stupid power suits, big hair, mullets. It was gaudy and crap, wasn't it? It was fucking ace. I loved it. And funny enough, everything's trying to go back to that now. Stranger Things, anybody? There you go. But yeah, so in the first one, it's just, I'm not even sure. Is it the basement of an apartment block, or is it a dungeon somewhere else, a warehouse? I can't remember. I only saw it the other day as well. But people contrive to end up in there, and he will go to town on him when he's not riding his little tricycle, which he does, and that's unnerving enough. He's splitting people's faces open. He's tearing eyeballs out. He's decapitating people. He's put a knife through someone's head, and then while they're like, with this knife, blood going everywhere, he starts sawing through their neck. And then finally, the head comes off, shower of gore everywhere. He looks at it. Yeah. Body's on the deck, and he puts the head beside the body. His knife's still there, so he puts his foot on the head, pulls the knife out, and then fucking boots the head. It's genuinely grim. And you can tell that Damien Leone has watched all the footage of people who have been beheaded by the likes of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. He's watched those videos and all the Mexican cartel stuff as well. Yes, all that stuff's out there. Should you be of a jaded persuasion and want to see it, you can find it. Because the way he depicts the head coming off with a big knife doing it, that's exactly how it looks. So it is, even though it's outlandishly gory, that's how it looks. So he's done his homework. But the showstopper for the original movie, Terrifier 2016, is the poor girl who, nude, is strung up by her ankles and he takes a hacksaw to it. Now, I don't mean to sound offensive, as if it wasn't already offensive enough. There is already a groove there, if you know what I mean. And he then proceeds to saw it in half, lengthways, and takes his time doing it. And there's another girl who's already been butchered, who's there, tied to a chair, watching this happen. At your neck, sort of thing. He would even take a picture, a selfie with this, because he doesn't finish off. So she's upside down, and he gets down to about there. Imagine my head upside down. gets down to about there, and so she's still hanging together by a cranial thread. Oh dear God. And you remember Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs and his woman's suit? No. Wait till you see Art put his woman's suit on and do his little dance. Sweet Jesus Christ. But he will get his comeuppance at the end of it, or so you think. And he will end up in a morgue. Again, folks, spoilers, but really, what does it matter? With a film like this, what does it genuinely matter? You're watching people being slaughtered. He will come back in the second one, of course, which took 6 years to get this one off the ground. And apparently it was largely fan-funded as well. So that shows you just how popular the movie genuinely was. And these aren't underground films. These are films which have had theatrical releases, especially Terrifier 2. It was massively anticipated and hugely awaited. And it's getting great critical reviews from the likes of The Guardian, for God's sake. Got a drink to that, haven't you? In the second one, which is a sheer indulgence, Leone makes 138 minutes of gore. It's an epic. It doesn't need to be that long. To be perfectly honest, you could take a good half hour out of this movie. Leave all the killings and the gore there, but you could take a half hour out of this. It wouldn't make any difference. But in the second one, we meet a brother and sister who are sort of at loggerheads with their mother. Their father's died. Was it suicide? I can't remember now. Was it suicide? But the father had a sort of sketchbook. He was an artist and a creator, and he had depictions of Art the Clown, and the daughter, who's the older one, and a bit of a goth chick, a bit of a renegade. She has dreams about Art the Clown. But Art has survived what happened at the end of the first movie, and he is reawakened by some kind of demon influence. And he kills the morgue, the pathologist. He breaks his head open, gets his brains out of it. He does all sorts to him. Oh, jeez, it's fucking horrible. And then he will go on another killing spree. He'll be walking round town. He's got his little bag of tricks, his little bin bag over his shoulder, full of all his toys and gadgets and bits of bodies as well. And he will go about town and he will meet, and he will go after this brother and sister. But he'll kill many other people in the meantime. And the whole thing will culminate brilliantly in a huge disused carnival with a showpiece called the Terrifier, which is like a ghost house thing, which is his lair in this movie. But into this movie has even more outlandish, outrageous, and truly shocking gore, and is far more disturbing. But Leone brings in a lot more supernatural elements to it, which don't make a lot of sense, to be perfectly honest. He has an apprentice who's a clown-like girl, well, teenager, who we first meet in a laundromat, where he's gone into what his clothes are blood drenched, so he just goes in there, puts his clothes in, and then there'll be this other girl which he sees who's like got a manic grin, a bit like Harley Quinn, but far more messed up because she has diarrhea all over the floor. I don't know why, but she does, and you see it. And she waves to him, and this is the mad killer who there's no friendship in this guy, but he does bond with her, and he'll wave back. Now, someone can correct me. I think she's the demonic return of one of his previous victims, or I think that's what it's meant to be. I don't quite know. But these two will apparently go together, but you're not sure if she's really there, because there's a guy in that laundromat who just sees Art talking to someone. In Art vision, she's there in front of him, but this guy's looking and she's not there at all. But what flies in the face of that is that later on, she definitely is there, because she does things as well. So she is there, and all our protagonists do see her. So, I don't know. Plus, you'll have almost a depiction of hell. You'll have a dream, which our heroine has, of a It's the Clown's Cafe. Jesus. Where a lot of, I don't know, special needs kids are having a good time, and Art's entertaining them till he brings out a Tommy gun and starts destroying everybody there, and then setting fire to people as well, and doing all sorts of other butchery and slaughteriness. But the whole place erupts into flames. This is a dream sequence, but when our heroine wakes up, she's going to a Halloween party with a warrior princess. Think Wonder Woman with her armour. Think Wonder Woman, but with wings, like fairy wings, like a warrior princess fairy. But this is a thing that her father had sketched and written about. So that's what she's going as, to honour him. But after this dream of flames and burning corpses and people being machine gunned, butchered, the wings burst into flames as well. And that's real. So what the hell? You'll have a depiction of hell. You'll have a basement which opens up to a fiery pit. But what does it all mean? I don't think Leone throws in these supernatural elements to try to pad out the movie and give a more spectral sense of menace and otherworldliness. But the thing about that is, if you're going to set that sort of, right, okay, we're now going supernatural, you're going to have to set some sort of ground rules. Where did he come from? Who's in charge? Who possessed him? What's going on there? Is that other girl really there, or what? You've got to set those rules in place so that we know where we're going with it. Mystery is great, and surrealism is wonderful as well. But and it's got plenty of that in many ways. But it's not. I'm not knocking it for that. It's an outrageous attempt to be more imaginative, and largely it works. While you're watching it, you can't take your eyes off it. You genuinely can't, even though this movie goes on for a hell of a long time. And you've got a rave, you've got a Halloween party, and you've got all sorts of stuff, and other people will get involved. And the gore and the violence is to extreme levels. This is a mainstream movie. This has got theatrical release. This has got a big word of mouth, and it's getting critically lauded by, proper movie critics who aren't knocking it. They're actually enjoying it. I think the reason why you get by it is because the guy playing Art, whose name is David Howard Thornton, he's not the guy that played Art the Clown in the original short movies. He only took on the mantle and the little tiny hat and the grease paint from the Terrifier 2016. That was the film he started in. He is outstanding. You cannot take your eyes off him. The glee with which he destroys people, his playful nature, his teasing, taunting mockery, and his antics, his little mannerisms and movements, and his sudden energy and zeal. It's just like you cannot prize your eyes away from him. And eyes are something that he likes to prize away from his victims a lot. Think eye damage, head damage, face damage. Think every bit of damage. There's even a penis ripped off as well and smeared across the car window at the girl who's trapped in there that was going to be on the receiving end of that penis if it wasn't hacked off. Yes, it is that kind of movie. But there is a killing in this movie which I've got to say, it's right up there with everything. It's genuinely disturbing, and it really does hit home, and it's truly horrible. I am going to spoil it now, but that spoiling, just me telling you about it, it does nothing to diminish the effect of you watching it. This is a poor girl at home, only young girl, who answers the door, trick-or-treaters, and it's Art. She's like, I'm not giving candy, great costume, but I'm not giving candy to a grown man. Oh, door goes, he gets in there. Okay, right, now, in the annals of butchery, this will be legendary. He will leap upon her, and he will slash down her face, and her eyeball will be split open. Her face will be split open. He will grab a pair of scissors. He will then begin to cut through her scalp and scalp her. Blood's going over. She's screaming. It's horrendous. He will then slash through her back. A deep cut down her back. Blood going everywhere. Oh my Christ. He grabs one of her arms he slashed it, and he waggles the arm at the elbow. It comes off. Whoa! Now she's an amputee as well. She puts another hand up, the surviving arm, to ward him off, and he does a Vulcan, that Vulcan thing, that thing. He does that, whoosh, and splits her hand in two. And keeps slashing at her, and she's there. She's arms off, other hands shredded. She's cut to ribbons. She's lost an eye. Her scalp's gone, and her phone's ringing on the dressing table, and she's crawling towards that. She's drenched in gore. This hasn't taken. It takes longer than the time it took me to describe it to you. It goes on for longer than that. He's leapt out the room, but he's coming back. Come back, folks, with bleach, which he pours all over it. Bleach in her wounds and salt. And he just covers her in salt in the wounds. And he springs like snow. He's like, ooh, ooh. And then he grabs a load of it and he puts it in that huge wound in her back and just rubs it in. And he puts it all over her face. And then he just grabs her face and rips her face up as well. And what makes this worse, folks, is that her mother will come home in a later scene. Sees a broken window. Someone's got in. Starts calling for her daughter. Goes upstairs and sees her daughter on her bed being sawn to bits. He's cutting through her legs with his little hacksaw, and there's all bits and bits of body all over the place, and she's not dead. Her face, one eye, and her face drenched in gore, and just says, "Mom." Fuck me, Leone. You did some damage there, mate. You did some damage there. I mean, I'm admiring these films for what they're doing and the sheer outrage and the incredibly wonderful practical makeup effects and the sheer presence of Art the Clown. But fuck me, man, that left a bad taste, and that's early on in the movie. So what will happen? A lot more will happen. A lot more torture. There's a great sequence where a victim, another female victim, is trapped in this carnival, and she picks up a plank of wood, and she's like, "Don't come near me," and she's swinging it, she's swinging like that, and Art just goes, well, he doesn't say it, but he basically goes, "Look what I got." He's got a plank of wood, only in his, there's all knives and things sticking out, screwdrivers and razor blades sticking out of it, which he will use on her a lot, and he'll break open her chest cavity after smashing her face to bits and go through all the bits in there and rummage around, find the heart. God almighty. And all the while what you're hearing now is, what's his name? Paul Wiley's score, which is his score for the first movie and the second movie. This is the main theme you've been hearing, and an extended version of it as well. And it's a great sort of throwback score, which I do like. So, Terrifier and Terrifier 2. Folks, you've got to see him to believe him. There is more extreme, believe it or not, there's more extreme movies. But the thing about the more extreme ones is that they have an idea behind them. If you look at Inside, you look at Martyrs, there's a definite a Serbian film. The theme itself and the idea behind them is just truly shocking and reprehensible. But Terrifier doesn't have any of that. There's no airs and graces. Terrifier is just a showcase of gore and violence, but in a throwback Looney Tunes sort of style. You remember, like, Looney Tunes, if you smacked Daffy Duck in the face, his bill would go round to the back of his head, or a nose would be shot off by Elmer Fudd's shotgun, the nose would be in the back of the head, whatever. This film is that, but with gore. This is how things happen, And the disturbing angle comes in with the protracted suffering of the victims. As I said before, most horror films, most stalk and slash, it's like, but they're gone within seconds. Not so with Terrifier. They linger, and they're alive for way too long, and he's enjoying their suffering. And horribly, folks, that's what real serial killers and murderers do. they do play about and they have a bit of fun. If they've got a victim trapped, sadly they go to town on them. And this sort of thing, I don't know, I'm nodding over there. it's not happening over there. This sort of thing there, which you can't see, thankfully, does genuinely happen. So maybe we should be applauding this film for like showing. Look, you know, you hear news reports of someone who's been maimed and mutilated, but the press doesn't get all the details. But folks, this is what happens, you know. So you need to look into how we deal with these people who are perpetrating it. There's a lot to consider with films like this, which on the outside you just think it's just a showcase for gore. It's just sick stuff. But when you look at these people are acting it really well. So they're putting their literally heart and soul into it. You literally see the heart and soul getting ripped up, thrown about, and eaten. He eats bits of bodies too. He's eating a little boy's leg and his foot at one stage. Little boy. There's a cat o' nine tails, a razor whipped cat o' nine tails being used a lot. There's acid in the face. There's fucking all sorts going on. But it actually genuinely seems to work. Terrifier and Terrifier 2. I do recommend them to people that like outrageous gore effects and disturbing films. The zeal which Art the Clown has, his playful antics will keep you engrossed, but it's his sudden change. This again, this disturbing thing. When he might take his time torturing someone, but when he's suddenly the stab frenzies, that seems quite shocking. Isn't it weird how the quick but the mad zeal and manic aggression he's exhibiting there is actually scary than him actually having fun and mocking the victims who are in so much pain and agony. It's that, because you think, oh, that's what people, that's how it happens. Oh. I had to address these two films because I'm a massive horror fan. I love gore in movies, but they're not. It isn't the be all and end all. Don't go thinking that. Well, you know, you watch the channel. You know, I'm into the classics, and I like atmosphere. I like acting. I like, you know, oodles of gothic quality to movies, and good stories too, which you're not going to get with this. I say the supernatural angle. There's a magic sword in this one as well, Terrifier 2. A magic sword. How the hell did that happen? And really at the end, you haven't got a clue what's happening. How she survived and coming back and fight. What's going on there? And there is a mid-credit sequence as well, which goes on for, God, about almost 10 minutes. And Jesus Christ, that's quite disturbing as well. But great. It's so OTT. It's wonderful. So, folks, I do recommend Terrifier and Terrifier 2. I was saying before that I might go in depth on these two. I don't think I need to. I've said enough on these films. Terrifier 3. Oh, you can bet your ass you're going to get one of those now. This film is going to be successful. It's already brought the house down pretty much everywhere. Film Fest, it went down a storm. And if you're into this sort of thing, then it really is going to float your boat. And fucking clowns, what? If ever you needed a reason to hate clowns, here it is. Bloody Pennywise, mate. He's on children's TV. He's a complete novice. You can tickle him under the chin. He's nothing. Twisty from American Horror Story. Oh yeah. He is still on the lower rungs of the ladder. Art the Clown. I don't know how high his ladder goes up, but he goes beyond, way beyond anything you've seen before. So that's a challenge for you, isn't it? Yeah. And you can get both movies now. They're on Blu-ray, and you can stream them, download them, do whatever you want with them. But my God. Cheers, y'all. And Damien Leone, just cut back on the the running time. You didn't need to do that. That was really exorbitant. Very, very indulgent. But I'm still loving your stuff. The films look great. The music's great. The acting is actually, for what they are, is actually pretty damn good. You know, and as I say, the set design, even though the first one's very limited, and the second one has more locations and more stuff, they don't go thinking these films look cheap. They do not look cheap. They look polished. There's a sheen to them, and a grit and a grime, and sweat and blood and offal. But you've got all that. But they are well filmed. This guy is a good filmmaker. He might not make the films that you think are good, but he is a good filmmaker. He can put together scenes. They look fantastic, and he has, you know, there's that thing, the pretentious quality of, like, he has a vision. His vision tends to be claret coloured, but he has a vision, and it's a strong one, and he sticks to it. My God, does he stick to it. Anyway, there you go. A Terrifier double bill. Go watch him and report back to me. The Joker, this guy ain't. Put it that way. Folks, I've been on with Shabby Kilt-Man. I'll be back in a bit because I've got a mystery canvas to open. So, back later on. Folks, I have been on with Shabby Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, in this ever excruciating, agonising, salt in the wounds in between time, keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all. Boom! Boom!